Good evening. I am Josephine Oluyole. Reading with me is
Oluyole.
We're both bringing you Newscope, our daily news program of in-depth reports, interviews and commentaries. First, the highlights. FG unveils $500 million spin project for irrigation dam safety.
Gumi says government knows terrorist identities, locations.
Oluyole local government elections to hold December 29.
Iran halts all exports till US-Israeli attacks cease.
Now the details. The federal government today unveiled the Sustainable Power and Irrigation for Nigeria project tagged SPIN as part of efforts to provide sustainable power for irrigation and hydropower to boost national food security, economic growth and environmental sustainability. The project, supported by the World Bank with a financing package of $500 million, is also designed to strengthen Nigeria's resilience to floods, droughts, and climate variability. Speaking during the flag-off in Abuja, the Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Joseph Utsev, said the initiative places strong emphasis on food security, economic resilience, and sustainable infrastructure development. Utsev added that the project aligns with the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, which prioritizes food security, economic resilience, and infrastructure development. Also speaking at the event, the Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Power, Maman Mahmoud, who represented the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, urged members of the project steering committee to remain committed to the successful implementation of the initiative. The SPIN project is a $500 million World Bank-backed program aimed at improving food security, boosting energy generation, and strengthening climate resilience in Nigeria.
President Bola Tinubu has transmitted the 2026 statutory budget of the Federal Capital Territory Administration to the Nigerian Senate for consideration and approval. The letter conveying the budget proposal was read on the floor of the Senate on Tuesday by the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, during plenary after lawmakers resumed from a 3-week recess held to allow committees to conduct budget defense sessions under Nigeria's constitutional framework. The National Assembly exercised legislative authority over the Federal Capital Territory, making the approval of the FCT budget a responsibility of the federal legislature. In the letter read on the Senate floor, the President explained the constitutional basis for presenting the proposal to lawmakers. The submission marks the beginning of the legislative process for the FCT's appropriation, which will involve scrutiny by relevant committees of the National Assembly of Nigeria before final approval by both chambers.
President Bola Tinubu has written to the leadership of the Nigerian Senate seeking the formation of Taiwo Oyedele as a minister in his cabinet. In a letter addressed to the Senate President Godswill Akpabio, Tinubu said Oyedele's nomination for ministerial appointment was made in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution. Senate President Godswill Akpabio read the President's letter conveying the nomination during plenary today. The President also stated that he hopes his request will be given expeditious review by the Senate. Akpabio subsequently referred the nomination to the Committee of the Whole for consideration. Recall that the President has on March 3 nominated Oyedele as the Minister of State for Finance, replacing Doris Uzoka Anete, who will now move to the Ministry of Budget and National Planning as the Minister of State.
Meanwhile, the President of the Senate has asked citizens to channel all concerns through elected representatives, underscoring that while social media amplifies public sentiment, the legislative process remains the primary avenue for resolving national issues. Addressing lawmakers at the resumption of plenary, the President of the Senate stated that the upper chamber serves as a forum for practical solutions rather than merely a stage for debate. According to him, while social media can highlight problems and mobilize public attention, it is through formal governance structures and active engagement with representatives entrusted with policy-making responsibility that lasting remedies are crafted and implemented. Lawmakers were also reminded that one of the most significant matters before the chamber is the national budget, which he described as a critical instrument for defining the country's priorities and development path. The Senate President further acknowledged the challenges facing the nation, urging lawmakers to approach them with determination and a clear sense of purpose.
Kaduna-based Islamic scholar Abubakar Gumi has claimed that the Nigerian government is aware of the identities and locations of tourists operating in the country. The cleric made the allegation while speaking during a recent interview which started trending on Tuesday. Gumi was responding to suggestions that he personally knows and interacts with terrorists and bandits responsible for insecurity in parts of Nigeria and that he advocates on their behalf. According to him, his engagements with the groups are not carried out alone but involves security agencies. The cleric also explained that during some of the engagements, he visited traditional leaders and even traveled into forests where bandits are believed to operate. Gumi has previously been involved in controversial dialogue efforts with armed groups in northern Nigeria, arguing that negotiation could help reduce violence and encourage disarmament.
Some residents in Akure North local government area of Ondo State today blocked the Akure-Owo highway over alleged incessant killings and kidnappings in the area. The protesters alleged that one of the residents was killed on his farm by suspected gunmen on Tuesday morning. It was reported that residents, mostly youths, blocked the flow of traffic, leaving motorists stranded on the expressway. One of the residents, who identified himself as Joseph Ade, told newsmen that they could not go to their farms due to the incessant kidnappings and killings in the area. The protesters appealed to the government to help them address the insecurity ravaging the area. Addressing the protesters, Mr. Adebowale Lawal, the Commissioner of Police in the state, assured the residents that the security agencies, including the Amotekun Corps and the police, would ensure the safety of lives and property.
The recent increase in the price of premium motor spirits, popularly known as petrol, continues to affect transportation across the country. Commuters and commercial drivers say the development has led to higher transport fares, creating financial strain for many Nigerians who rely on road transportation for their daily activities. Our reporter Folashade Akintola went around the city and files in details. The report is presented by Bimbo Aknobi.
For many Nigerians, commuting has become more expensive following the recent increase in petrol prices. Across several motor parks and bus stops, commercial drivers say the cost of fueling their vehicles has risen significantly, forcing them to increase transport fares in order to continue operating. Some drivers who spoke with BCS News lamented that the increase has also resulted in a reduction in the number of passengers coming into the parks. According to them, passengers who previously paid about 4,500 naira for certain routes are now required to pay 5,000 naira due to the rise in fuel prices. That is talking about petrol.
Satisfied 5,000 and bus 4,500 and 5,000. Buy anything, but they put 6,000 like the car. And the bus in 5,500. But you learn but they put one other one on the one. Sabago on it, ring at the Mulolimu, you pull and you put 1,300. Or also affect to only to pọ̀ gidi gan ni ká ló rí pa lọ tá lọ oníye dára tẹ́tẹ́lẹ̀ oníye lítà dára nísìnyí ibi tó ń gbé ní 4,000 3,000 tẹ́tẹ́lẹ̀ ó ti increase nísìnyí torí pé kí ni epo tó rà lórí ẹ̀kọ́ ṣe tí ó bá sí elépo dé ni iye tá ń gbé rà máa gbé.
They explained that the situation has made transportation business more difficult as some travelers now postpone their trips or seek cheaper alternatives.
Ní choice iye tó bá ń tà náà la máa rà. So the sun, but àwọn èrò tán wá ń wọkọ̀ ti dínkù. So I guess it's that's why pé
iye tí token amount tá bá fi lé lórí because at least 500 naira la fi lé so research so with 500 naira yẹn náà gan kò tó epo yẹn láti rà àwọn náà tún adjust ara wa pẹ̀lú ẹ̀ ni.
Some commuters who spoke with BCS News behind the camera also expressed concern over the rising cost of transportation. They noted that the fare increase is putting additional pressure on their daily expenses, especially for those who travel frequently for work or businesses. Many commuters say the situation is forcing them to cut down on travel and carefully plan their movements in order to manage their limited income.
A court in Kano has ordered the Kano state government to pay a total of 1 million naira as cost in a legal dispute involving former commissioners over the official vehicles given to them while in office. The National Industrial Court in Kano, led by Justice Mahmood Abba Namtari, gave the order today after the state government asked for more time to prepare its response in the case. The case was filed by 5 former commissioners who want the court to stop the Kano state government from taking back the official vehicles they used during their time in office. During the hearing, the lawyer representing the Kano state government, Barrister S.U. Jibril, told the court that the government was not ready to continue with the case. He explained that he was only informed about the matter on Monday afternoon and had not had enough time to prepare the necessary documents.
This broadcast of Newscope is coming to you from the Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State, Ibadan. The Oyo State Governor, Engineer Seyi Makinde, has sworn in 17 newly appointed permanent secretaries in the state civil service, charging them to ensure that their personal interests do not conflict with their official responsibilities. The swearing-in ceremony took place at the Executive Chamber of the Governor's Office, Agodi, Ibadan. Details are presented by the BCS Governor's Office correspondent, Olalekan Sulaiman.
You solemnly swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Speaking shortly after administering oath of office and allegiance to the newly appointed permanent secretaries, the State Governor, Engineer Seyi Makinde, stated that the appointment was strictly based on competence, performance and merit without interference from any quarters. While congratulating the new permanent secretaries, the governor urged them to remain loyal to the government, discharge their duties diligently and work in the best interest of Oyo State.
80% of what's selected based on competence. So that is why some people are out there saying, oh, okay, I should have been selected. Perhaps you pass the exam, and such individuals who have passed the exam, perhaps they came from a geopolitical zone that have been overrepresented. It's possible. So that's as you saw to now so that he stated to say I won't allow my personal interest to my official conduct.
Some of the newly appointed permanent secretaries and senior education officers who spoke with journalists shortly after the ceremony expressed appreciation to Governor Makinde for the confidence reposed in them. They described their elevation as a long-awaited recognition of their years of dedication and service.
I will say it's by my might and by my strength, but it's all good. And I can actually say that by the time I become the Teacher General, PS, of Oyo State, I will move it to better hands. We want to move the state forward. We will be challenged, and we promise His Excellency that we are going to treat the state proper by we want it.
The 17 new permanent secretaries comprise 8 from mainstream civil service, 4 from education sector, including Inspector General of Education and Tutor General, 3 from local government service, 1 from House of Assembly Service Commission, and the Auditor General for the state, Oluyole Sulaiman. BCS News.
Meanwhile, the Oyo State Civil Service Commission has set aside Thursday, 12th March 2026 for an interactive session with directors of administration and supplies, as well as directors of personnel in all ministries, departments and agencies at the new local government building, Secretariat Ibadan. According to the chairman, Alhaji Chief Kamal Abiodun Aderibigbe, the interactive session, which is aimed at discussing and clarifying relevant guidelines to ensure adequate preparation for error-free 2026 promotion exercise, will hold from 10 a.m. Alhaji Kamaru Aderibigbe urged all participants to attend punctually and participate actively to ensure that all stakeholders are on the same page. The chairman concluded by appreciating the Executive Governor of Oyo State for his usual readiness to ensure workers' welfare are guaranteed, and pray that Almighty Allah will continue to grant His Excellency eternal reward.
The Oyo State Independent Electoral Commission, OISEC, has announced Tuesday, 29 December 2026 as a new date for the conduct of the local government council elections across the state. This is contained in a statement signed by the OISEC chairman, Dr. Babatunde Afeez Adeniyi, and made available to journalists in Ibadan. The development, according to the statement dated March 4, 2026, was as a result of the recently revised Presidential and National Assembly elections by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, from the 20th of February 2027 to the 16th of January 2027, a date previously scheduled by OISEC for the conduct of the local government council elections. Dr. Babatunde explained that the electioneering campaign by the political parties will end 12 midnight on Monday, the 28th December 2026, while rerun election will hold on Tuesday, the 5th of January 2027, if any. He urged political parties and relevant stakeholders to continue their preparations in accordance with the revised date and timetable, as the Commission remains fully committed to conducting a peaceful, transparent, credible and inclusive local government elections.
On the foreign scene, Iran's Revolutionary Guards have warned that they will not allow all shipments to leave the Middle East if attacks by the United States and Israel continue. The statement raises fresh concerns about potential disruptions to global oil supply and growing tensions in the region. Foreign Desk Editor Folashade Akintola compiled the detail and other stories as presented by Bimbo Akombi.
The statement made on Tuesday has, however, prompted President Donald Trump to say the U.S. will hit Iran much harder if it blocked exports. The rhetoric did little to quell a fall in crude prices and a rally in global shares that followed President Trump's expressing confidence in a swift end to hostilities, even after Iran showed defiance by naming late Khamenei's son, Mujtaba Khamenei, as its new supreme leader. Trump had on Monday predicted the conflict would end before the initial 4-week time frame he had set out, although he has not defined what victory would look like. Meanwhile, Israel says its war aim is to overthrow Iran's system of clerical rule, while Trump insists that the war can end only with a compliant Iranian government. After more than a year of holding fire, Hezbollah last week launched a volley of missiles and drones towards an Israeli military site in the northern city of Haifa. The Lebanese group said the attack was in response to the killing of Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei on the first day of the United States-Israeli war on Iran on February 28. Iran is Hezbollah's main benefactor. Since then, Israel has carried out a fierce air campaign on Lebanon, killing nearly 500 people, including 83 children, and forcing 500,000 from their homes. It also launched a new ground incursion into the south of the country, ordering troops to take control of additional strategic positions as it opened a new front in the regional war prompted by the attacks on Iran. But as regional tensions rise, military experts and analysts say the Israeli escalation and Hezbollah's resumption of fighting are complicating the Lebanese government's efforts to disarm Hezbollah. under the terms of the 2024 ceasefire deal between Hezbollah and Israel. After more than a year of fighting, Israeli troops were to withdraw from southern Lebanon, and the group's fighters were to go north of the Litani River that runs across the south of the country. And finally, joint strikes operated by Asian security forces and private contractors have killed at least 1,243 people and injured 738 in Haiti, Human Rights Watch HRW reports. Since March last year, Asian security forces, with support from Vectors Global, a United States licensed private military firm, have carried out anti-gang operations using quadcopter drones strapped with explosives, often in densely populated parts of the capital Port-au-Prince. The report found strikes from March 1, 2025 to January 21 in West Department, where Port-au-Prince is located, have killed 17 children and 43 adults not believed to be members of any criminal group. The non-profit said the number of drone attacks in Port-au-Prince, which is 90% controlled by gangs, has significantly increased in recent months, with 57 reported from November to late January, almost double that of the 29 attacks reported from August through October. HRW said its researchers analyzed 7 videos uploaded to social media or shared directly with the group that show quadcopter drones in action and geolocated 4 of them to Port-au-Prince. The drone attack killed 9 people, including 3 children, and injured at least 8 as the leader of the Simon Pele gang prepared to distribute gifts to children in the area. Bimbo Akambi, BCOS News.
To end this edition of Newscope, here again are the main points. The federal government today unveiled the Sustainable Power on Irrigation for Nigeria project tagged SPIN as part of efforts to provide sustainable power for irrigation and hydropower to boost national food security, economic growth and environmental sustainability. Kaduna-based Islamic scholar Abubakar Gumi has claimed that the Nigerian government is aware of the identities and locations of terrorists operating in the country. The Oyo State Independent Electoral Commission, OISEC, has announced Tuesday, 29 December 2026 as a new date for the conduct of the local government council elections across the state. This is contained in a statement signed by the OISEC chairman, Dr. Babatunde Afiz Adeniyi, and made available to journalists in Ibadan. On the foreign scene, Iran's Revolutionary Guards have warned that they will not allow all shipments to leave the Middle East if attacks by the United States and Israel continue. That's all from Newscope Desk for now. It was packaged by Kende Adeyemi and delivered by Oluyole and Josephine Oluwabomi. Thanks for listening. Do not forget to tune in for the Yoruba version at 8 p.m. Good evening.
Lákòókò Ramadan yìí, Kivo non-dairy creamer ń darapọ̀ mọ́ gbogbo ẹbí jákèjádò Nàìjíríà nínú àdúrà àròjinlẹ̀ àti ìrẹ́pọ̀.
Láti sàárì sí ìṣínú, ṣe àfikún adùn sí ife tíì, kọfí, custard tàbí ògì pẹ̀lú ìṣerere Kivo tó kì pọ́pọ́.
Tí oòrùn bá ti wọ̀, tí àwọn olólùfẹ́ kórajọ fún ìṣínú, jẹ́ kí àkókò kọ̀ọ̀kan ní ìtumọ̀, kó rọrùn, kó sì dùn sí pẹ̀lú Kivo non-dairy creamer. Kivo non-dairy creamer jẹ́ kí Ramadan